often is the case when dealing with commissions with people who tend to lollygag and procrastinate is I will sell them a drawing. They'll purchase the drawing off of me, but they won't necessarily do a thing with it. Not a thing with it. Not a shirt, not a design, not a logo, not anything. So I get stuck with this wonderful drawing. It's actually one of my favorite, okay? If not my favorite. And it's so specific with the lettering that I can't really do anything with it. So I'm going to use this as inspiration for a drawing that is similar. I'm going to take that one. This one, which is not a commission, this is a personal piece. Mind you, this is a print, so don't worry. Not on quality paper either. But I'm going to take that tiger. That tiger is pretty cool. So I'm going to use that tiger, and I'm going to use many of the logos. I have quite a fascination with logo design. So here you have this drawing where you can see the clear influence of corporate logos of all ilks, as well as personal designs of my own and images or lettering of cultural significance. So I'm going to take all this and I'm going to create a payphone that has intestines hanging out of it, out of its base, out of its pedestal. And within the pedestal itself, rather than having a payphone, it'll have a tombstone. So I don't know. It's kind of like an idea I had. So we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned. I'll return. Thought I was a thumbnail, didn't you? The only thing brighter than my completed piece, and I promised I'd return, and I did, is this wonderful boo. Now, isn't that something? You can even dim it. Pretty cool, right? That's the power of Chinese children at sweatshops, courtesy of Temu. So as I said, here is the drawing completed from the inspirations I aforementioned. And I decided to pick up a bottle of Mio sparkling sake as a celebratory drink. As you can see, Boo himself is holding a bottle of sake, it appears, or a jug of something. So it could be a soju, right? It looks like something of that type. It does have a cork, though. But yeah, I was sitting back, finishing my drawing. It definitely plays on nostalgia. A lot of influences here, aside from the aforementioned drawings. It's influenced by bio horror, body horror, so clearly Akira logo designs as well. And it could be influenced by things that aren't necessarily even obvious in the drawing. I mean, sitting down the other day, I had my backpack on the pavement, the newly paved parking lot of a work lot. And as the sun rose over the wet, freshly paved asphalt, it had just rained. I'm in Florida, so you get that frequently, every like 15 minutes, torrential downpour, and then it's 1,000 degrees in the crematorium that is Pinellas County. And I thought back to my childhood in private school and how my sweater, I had a V-neck sweater with our emblem on it. We were the Crusaders. And how my sweater would always smell like pavement, like asphalt, like parking lot, because we played in a parking lot. We had concrete in the playground. It was just one big parking lot. How most of the time we'd hang out in the restrooms and do our homework in the stalls and be obnoxious to the other students and goof off. But most of my work, that is so good. If you haven't had a chance, sparkling sake is so enjoyable. It's so refreshing. So refreshing. My current stage of drawing is just it's like reaching out and trying to grab a speeding subway train that represents a path to nostalgia. That train is memories of my youth, and I try to grab on it, hang on, and take it back to what I perceive as a simpler time, although I would say it was probably some of the most stressful times in my life as far as like schoolwork and getting in trouble. But, you always pick and choose what strawberries you take out of the path of memory. And you always pick the most plump and juicy. So you often forget the bad times, the stress that goes with such matters. And, yeah, so that's what my current iteration, my current form of who I am as an artist is. It's this guy who's striving for his youth. I'm 43. I'm gonna be 44 in December, and you know, I'm in a time when I tend to drink a lot more and think about childhood and youth and longing for odd little moments in time, climbing up a hill, climbing through like a mountain path in the chaparral brush, you know, chasing coyotes, you know, hanging out with my grandfather, going to the yarn store with my grandmother in an old Dodge, you know, just hanging out in front of my house on the cul-de-sac with all my friends. And as the sun went down, more and more people would arrive, and we'd hang out there and kind of just be delinquents and piss off the neighbors, you know. So we weren't that bad, but you know, there were some there was up to no good antics. There's a couple episodes of troublemaking, you know, but those memories, you know, that's I guess that's what I'm drawing about in a way, you know. And I reflected in pop culture. There's some references to dreams in there as well, and an amalgamation of dreams, fantasy, and real life. But it's a payphone that's inside of it's a tombstone that's inside of the kiosk of a payphone, as opposed to the phone being in there, with a lot of little nods to things here and there. You see a reference to Tiger Balm. I was in martial arts in, like, I'd say late junior high and early high school, so there's a lot of Tiger Balm going on. But there's a lot of things in there, and basically what it is the payphone comes floating by with its intestines and guts hanging out of it, because it's like a living material entity, and what the guts represent is the material realm, like it's tangible, it's something that's alive and breathing. And just like a humid day when you hear the cicadas and you hear the bugs out there, or a warm summer night when you hear the crickets in suburbia, it's alive, it's tangible, something you can reach out and grab, and it might bite you. You know, I remember as a kid sticking my hand in a gopher hole at Little Bassett Park, and I got bit by something. You know, it almost felt like there was a human hand in there with a box cutter, and it just sliced my fingers, you know. But how could there be a full-grown man inside of a gopher hole? So clearly it must have been a gopher. But nonetheless, the tombstone represents the afterlife. And I always say life is death practice, because you're practicing for the afterlife, and you're practicing to... Your practice represents how you perform when you die and where you go afterwards. Are you all going out for pizza? You know, does everybody get pizza in the end? Because we didn't always get pizza in the end. We always got pizza when we won the Little League game or soccer. So the tombstone is like a landline to the afterlife, because sometimes when you're practicing, you need tips from the professionals. Why not bring in a professional? You know, why not talk to the people that have already done it and done it right? You know, like, that tombstone to me could be my grandfather. It could be one of my friends that passed away, you know? That could be the version of me that passed away. I got stabbed twice. And I'm sure in some alternate reality, if you believe in such things, there's a version of me that died that day. And, you know, my friends did stand on that cul-de-sac and not just ponder the possibility of death, of my death. They actually experienced it. I passed away that night, that hot summer night, my friend's backyard, you know, but that didn't happen. And the afterlife is for those that actually made it there in our timeline. And we'd like to think they all won. They all beat the game with special endings, you know. And this drawing represents that. It represents reaching out and touching someone. You know, reach out and touch someone, you know, and get some advice. And sometimes we want to just make a phone call. We want to call a landline and see if they can give us tips on where to go next. So that's kind of what that is. And that's about it for that one. You guys take care. And cheers. Chin chin.